Yo, what's up guys? Today we got a tap strafing guide. This is mainly going to be for people that have scroll wheel bound to move forward. This video will be separated into basically two main parts. The first part will be general tips on how to make your tap strafes more consistent and powerful. And then the second half will be applications for tap strafing and how to use it in combat. Alright, so we're going to go into how to make your tap strafes more consistent. The best way for me to describe this is I'm just going to go over some of the problems you can experience when trying to tap strafe. So the first problem you might encounter when trying to learn how to tap strafe is actually getting too many forward inputs. It sounds kind of weird, but if you get too many forward inputs in respect to your frame rate, what'll happen is you won't experience any lurch at all, and you'll just go forward like you normally do. So tap strafing is a frame dependent technique, and the higher your frame rate is, the more forward inputs the game will be able to accept per second or whatever. So if I cap my FPS to 30 for instance, and now I'm at 30, I won't be able to tap strafe at all with my scroll wheel because it's just way too fast for the game to process. If I try to scroll slightly slower, it kind of works, see, like that. But I have to scroll really slowly to do that, and it's very hard to do this consistently. So what I would recommend is buying a new mouse if you have this problem. Now, I don't know much about mouses, but I'm currently rocking the Viper Ultimate, and I can guarantee you guys that the Viper series is really good for tap strafing. Now, if you don't get a new mouse, you're just always going to have to consciously scroll much slower than you would want to, which is really hard when you're in a highly stressful situation like a gunfight, so you're going to want to scroll really fast. Also, getting a new mouse might help you with super jumping. In the past, I had like a Logitech G502, and when I tried to super jump, I would always fail, and the reason was I would scroll too fast, and the game wouldn't accept my jump inputs. However, with my new mouse, I have pretty much 100% consistency. So a new mouse really does help you out, both with tap strafing and with super jumps, so keep that in mind. So you are actually limited by your hardware. So the takeaway from this is you either need to buy a new mouse that doesn't have too many forward inputs in respect to your frame rate, or just learn to scroll slower on your current mouse. Also, getting a higher frame rate might help you out for this. Alright, the second problem that you might be having when tap strafing is you're not scrolling long enough. So, in the past, when I was first learning tap strafing, I would slide jump and then just spin my scroll wheel really fast and instantly stop. And while it was relatively fine for 90-degree shifts in momentum, when I tried to do 180s, it wouldn't work at all. I would just go off at odd angles. And the biggest solution to this is just scrolling throughout the entire tap strafe. It's very weird. I have to scroll like all the way up to my knuckle in order to scroll throughout the entire thing, but it's definitely a lot better. So make sure that you're tap strafing throughout your entire jump. Otherwise, you're just not going to be able to do these 180 shifts, which they're really useful for wall bouncing and other things. So basically, for this point, just know that long drawn out scrolls are going to be much more powerful for your tap strafes than quick short scrolls. And the third problem you might have when tap strafing is you're not tap strafing quick enough. So basically, the second you leave the ground, you're able to experience lurch, which is the mechanic that enables tap strafing. You want to start tap strafing like the second after you leave the ground. Now, I'd recommend either having both forward and jump bound to scroll up, or just having jump bound the spacebar and hitting it at the same time as your tap strafe. Because if you have jump bound to scroll down and scroll up, what'll happen is you will scroll down, right? And then when you scroll up, there's going to be like latency between the two actions. And the more latency that occurs, the less pronounced your tap strafe will be. So here's it with scroll down and scroll up. I like sometimes completely lose all my momentum when trying this 180 shift. Then here's them both at once. So not a huge difference, but it's a good practice to get into. So first application of tap strafing we'll go into is wall bouncing. So as most people know, you can tap strafe into a wall bounce pretty easily, and you can also tap strafe into a climb. basically the same thing. But if you want to take it a step forward, you can actually tap strafe after your wall bounce. So here's what it looks like. And my favorite use for this is tap strafing 180 degrees behind me, especially when someone's chasing you around the corner. You know, they try to chase you around the corner, and then you instantly just do a 180 shift behind them and shoot them. And I'll play a clip right now that emphasizes this. So you can definitely see the uses for this in combat. Just be aware that you can tap strafe in pretty much any direction after a wall bounce. If you master this, the enemy, like after they see you wall bounce, they're going to expect you to go in a certain way, but now the possibilities after you bounce off the wall are endless. So if you want to tap strafe after a wall bounce, the best way is to scroll up so that you momentum shift towards the wall bounce, and then right when you hit the wall, you scroll down again, and then a split second after, you scroll up again, and that's so you can tap strafe right after the jump. Alright, so now I'll talk about jump pad tap strafing, specifically on the double jump. So if you have both jump and move forward bound to the same scroll wheel direction, you don't even have to think about timing. However, I know a lot of people don't use that. So if you only have move forward bound to scroll up, you can do it just as easily if you just know the proper order of inputs. So what you want to do is you want to actually start scrolling before your jump. And that's going to ensure that you get perfect timing, and it's literally that simple. If you try to scroll after your jump, it still works, but you might struggle slightly more. So if you guys didn't already know, you can actually bind keys other than W to your scroll wheel, and it works just like tap strafe inside direction would work. So for instance, if I binded move left to scroll up, now when I scroll after a jump, I move to my left. And the same thing with D bound, you go to your right. I like to call these sideways momentum shifts. I guess you could call them sideways tap strafes. But they're useful in gunfights for sure. Going directly to your left or right while shooting at someone sounds pretty insane. So anyways, if you're interested in using one of these bindings, like A or D bound to your scroll wheel, you can actually get W tap strafing with that binding. So the way you do it is you cancel out the rapid fire strafe inputs by holding down its opposite key. So in our case, we have move left bound to our scroll wheel. We're going to cancel that out by holding down D. And then we're going to add W, and that's going to turn our A tap strafe into a W tap strafe. So I'm tap strafing just like I have W bound onto my scroll wheel. You see I just have to hold down W and D at the same time, but I can get 180 shifts. I can get shifts to the left, blah, blah, blah. It works exactly the same. So if you do want to use A tap strafing, this is an option. That's how you convert your A or D tap strafes into W tap strafes. Now we will convert W tap strafes into left or right tap strafes. So the method for this is slightly harder. What you're going to do is you're going to slide jump and then tap strafe with your scroll wheel. But while doing that, you're going to hit D, then S, or A, then S really fast and hold them down. So this is what it looks like. You get the same sideways momentum shift. It looks even better if you use a movement legend like Octane. But you just hit D, then S really fast. You can't hit S first. If you hit S first, you'll lose all your momentum for whatever reason. So just keep that in mind. Alright, the last thing we got is super zipline jump tap strafes. So basically, if you don't know what a super zipline jump is, just look it up. Basically, all you do is you have to do a super jump and then immediately tap strafe afterwards in the direction you want. And you can pick whatever direction you want. Now this is a lot quicker than just hitting the zipline twice, and you'll also go a lot farther than if you just hit the zipline twice. So all you do is you scroll down and then scroll up pretty much instantly. Alright, up next we got double tap strafes, or just tap strafe bunny hopping. So you really do want both jump and move forward bound the same scroll wheel direction, because that way you can just hold crouch hold and just keep scrolling in the direction you want. But if you don't have the binding, I'll link the video in the description. It's really good with Octane Stim. It's pretty self-explanatory. You just scroll up while turning. If you don't have the double binding though, so I'm unbinding it now, it's still possible. You just have to spam spacebar with your other hand at the same time, which is kind of hard to do. But here's me doing it with it down the spacebar. So it kind of works, but it's hard. You can't like maintain it the entire time. So this is me doing it with spamming spacebar with my thumb. It's really dumb. So that's Tap Strafe bunny hopping or the double tap strafe. And I also like to do Tap Strafe bunny hopping after a grapple. It's really good for if you're pushing someone that's weak, you usually want to grapple to them if you're Pathfinder, but the problem is they'll shoot back. So Tap Strafing out of your jump helps a lot. As for using it in fights, honestly, just get used to Tap Strafing whenever you're reloading. So shoot a target, and then while you're reloading, try to Tap Strafe bunny hop around. And it's usually better than strafing back and forth. Especially with Octane. He's a beast. Alright, my last tip is when you're sliding downhill. Usually people take like a battery or something while sliding downhill. The problem is you're going down straight in a line. And people can obviously shoot you. Bunny hopping helps, but you can't really change direction that well, so I'd recommend Tap Strafe bunny hopping when sliding downhill. This isn't the steepest hill, but just look at the difference here. Like, no one's gonna be able to track you. So Tap Strafing while going downhill is a great idea. Or if someone's behind a rock like here, you just Tap Strafe into them. Just keep in mind that whenever you're going downhill, you should be Tap Strafing if someone's focusing fire on you. A lot of people still know that you can bunny hop heal with Octane Stim, but you can take this a step farther and Tap Strafe bunny hop heal. And this is actually extremely useful. Like if I want to get behind a piece of cover like here, for instance, you just go right around it. Versus just regular bunny hopping, you have to like... I can't use my back. Yeah, with regular bunny hopping, you have to like arc around the entire thing.